What's the most bizarre thing you witnessed right in front of your eyes in a club in Berlin, Germany? It was quite sex positive. A woman in her 30s sat down next to me on a weird chair, and we started chatting. At some point during the conversation, a man kneeled down in front of her and started to fist her, consensually. She didn't break eye contact. She didn't even flinch. She just continued the conversation like normal. I had no idea how to deal with that and didn't want to be rude, so we continued the conversation, and I tried to ignore the man who had half his arm in her vagina. A coworker, just before quitting, took a shit in their cubicle. They wanted to have him charged with indecent exposure, but since no one saw him, besides me, and I wasn't admitting to having seen it, they dropped it. They also tried to use the defecating in public laws, but the police pointed out that their office was in fact private, not a public space. The man became a legend around the office. I watched a man fall when his rappelling gear failed. He fell about 100 feet, and the sound his body made when he hit will haunt me forever. He broke his spine, pelvis, both legs, one arm, and an orbital bone, but he survived. There were a lot of people around to give first aid, and I helped carry him out of the canyon to the ambulance, and I swear I thought he was dead already. He looked like thawed hamburger meat. The Rangers? Park Police? Not sure what they were, took our info, and a few days later, to our surprise, the guy was alive and wanted to see the people who carried him out. He gave us all some really nice leather backpacks from the company he worked for. I still have it some 20 plus years later. Edit update. The guy was in the hospital for many weeks, but after a very long rehab he made a nearly full recovery. That was mostly due to him being in really good physical shape before the accident. I was working at an accounting office doing data entry as a part-time job in college, sitting at my desk. Somehow I'd scored a desk by the window, but with my back to it, of course. I'm busy doing my work, and I hear someone yell, "Oh no," and then stop, at the top of her lungs and banging on the big glass window. I turned around and looked out the window just in time to see a woman's head get run over by the rear wheels of a Coke delivery truck that was backing up. So much blood and bits of brain. It sort of exploded and went everywhere, including the glass right in front of me. Apparently she was some sort of architectural historian or something taking pictures of our building. She stepped back and fell off the curb just as the truck was backing up to make his delivery for our vending machines. I will never forget that. Edit. I found an article on it. I may not be remembering all the details correctly, as it was over 20 years ago, but that's my memory, anyway. Accidentally? I have a friend whose mother was an extreme alcoholic, which got worse after her husband died. She fell asleep in her recliner in a nightgown smoking a cigarette. When he got a call from the neighbor that the fire company was at his house, he came home to see his mother cook like a burned marshmallow in a melted recliner with a big dark burned circle on the ceiling, but oddly no other house damage. He always wonders how fucked up she was that she couldn't escape from setting herself on fire. A woman on a train pooped a hard shit ball which just dropped out of her gown, which she proceeded to pick up, smell it, then throw it out of the window. She then started talking to a man, which soon turned to them fondling one another. Soon after, police showed up, dropped them at the next station where railway police force took them, because they were clearly unstable, so possibly to the nearest asylum. A coworker at a factory got a set of shop shears caught in an extrusion puller. Link is SFW, Safe for Work. Just a page for a manufacturer of set equipment that has pictures of the gear so you can see what it does. The shears got tangled in a strip of plastic that had got wrapped around the belt, and when the shears rounded the turn with his fingers stuck in them, it basically ripped his hand in half, nearly twisting his thumb, middle finger, and forefinger off. All because he thought he could clear a jam tangle without having to stop and restart the line. Saving 15 minutes cost him a functioning hand. Walked in on two co-workers having an affair. He later cornered me and threatened me. She is my brother-in-law's best friend's wife, and I've known him a lot longer than she has. I reported it, mainly the threat, to HR, and talked to my sister about it to see if she and her husband wanted to talk to him about it. I got written up by the vice president and the conduct team of where I worked because I told my sister about it. Allegedly, I put the woman at risk because, and I quote, conduct, her husband is most likely going to beat her over this. I've known him for over 30 years, he doesn't have a violent bone in his body, and if he showed any signs, he wouldn't still be good friends with my sister and her husband. A few years later, did he ever beat her? Nope. Did they go to counseling? Yes. Driving Uber, I caught a dude jerking off in my car. Turned around and he had his dick in one hand and his phone in the other hand recording it. It kind of stunned me at how bold he was. I kicked him out and still charged him for the entire ride. This was one of the reasons I bought a dual-facing dash cam. Ran into a burning house as a teenager. It was an old couple just a few houses down from mine. Got through the living room, into the dining area, but smoke started getting bad. Got down on my knees and crawled to the hallway to look into the bedrooms. The couple were dead, in bed, burning. I know this by the shape of the lumps, not because they were recognizable. I learned two things. Don't ever run into a burning house. It's dumb. I got lucky. The smell of burning humans is something you never forget. I was the designated driver for a group of friends going to an Allman Brothers concert. A pregnant woman in front of me was dressed in just cut-off overalls, no shirt, bra, panties, or shoes. The overalls were unbuttoned at the sides to accommodate her belly, so pretty much everything was showing. She was chugging Jack Daniels and dancing half in the aisle. At about the third-hour mark of whipping post, she leaned to the side and puked on the people dancing in the aisle, and then grabbed her boyfriend by his hair and planted a big sloppy kiss on his mouth. Being sober when everyone else if drunk and high can make you lose faith in humanity. Going back to my apartment after college classes ended. Homeless people fucking right outside my apartment complex by a tree. I try not to make eye contact. One of them says, "Hey, you want to join?" I said, no thanks. Have a good night. I worked at an aluminum plant. One of the mills was down for a few days. I went to the pulpit to sleep and chill since I didn't have shit to do. Walk in and two of my coworkers, both men, both very much married, banging away. I just turned around and left. The rest of the time I worked with them was awkward for sure. I was working the customer service desk at a sporting goods store. One of my job duties was clearing any gun that people brought into the store, usually to get it sighted in by our techs or to see if our gun counter would buy it from them. Some dude comes in with a massive .338 Lapua rifle. Imagine the little brother of the Barrett 50 cal you see in movies and games. It's at least a $5,000 6,000 gun. Well, apparently the dude who owns it is all money and no sense, because he walks in and immediately starts violating the most basic of gun safety rules. His fingers just casually hanging out in the trigger guard as he comes in, and he's sweeping the entire store with the muzzle as he walks. I put on my best customer service face and ask him to put the gun down so I can ask him the routine questions before I can clear the gun. While putting it down, he once again flags me with the barrel while his fingers on the trigger. I keep my cool and get to my questions. If he answers no to all of them, then I'm good to clear the gun. There's a few of them, but the one that matters here is there any ammunition in the chamber or magazine of the firearm? He says no to everything, so I put the barrel into the clearing trap and rack the bolt back. Lo and behold, a live round pops out and reveals the full magazine. The safety was off, which means this guy was flagging a store of people, and me, with a gun that was one slip of the finger away from making a very large hole in myself, and probably at least one other person. I somehow managed to just say the usual script for someone having ammo and a gun, which was, "I'm sorry, but I can't clear your firearm in this condition. Please take the ammunition out of the store and come back without it, and I'll be happy to check it again." Mentally, however, I was saying some very unkind words to this person. I was in Iraq and the Iraqi National Army was helping us get ISIS out of the country. Well, we captured 7 ISIS members who had just planted IEDs, improvised explosive devices all along Death Highway. The commander for the Iraqi National Army told them to get on their knees, and then he told them, "Who's going to die? Someone's going to die," he said. He then executed every one of them right in front of me. I have never seen brutality like that in my entire life. Even in combat, I've never seen something as brutal as that. Haunts me to this day. I've seen similar in Kabul. When the Taliban took over and helped with security at HKIA, Hamid Karzai International Airport, we were slowly processing people through the gates. One guy kept asking us to let him go, and we kept saying no. Eventually Taliban asked if he was causing issues. One Marine said he is. So the Taliban guy pulls a pistol, put it to his temple and pulled the trigger. Dude hit the ground and Taliban walked away like nothing happened. My weirdest experience was in Indianapolis. I was sitting at a light in a convertible, and a truck driver pulls up and shouts, "Hey, y'all want some mayonnaise?" and then picks up a huge 64 ounces plus container of mayo and throws it at me. Thankfully I caught it. Could have gone horribly awry, though. Still to this day I don't know why this happened. Edit. Recurring question. Not only did I eat the mayo, I was on my way to a cookout, so a lot of people ate it.